It is time for week 3. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Who's Cast, and it is time for my official week 3 college football predictions. I'm going to try to cover as many of the important games that I think will be happening this week, and I will tell you exactly who is going to be winning each and every one of them. All right, up first, Georgia versus South Carolina. Georgia's going to win this game. Before the season, I had thought that South Carolina would beat them this year, but Georgia's looking unstoppable right now. Clear cut number one. They will be destroying South Carolina. South Carolina's lines are just not good. Old Gamecocks, yep, they're not. Their offensive line is not very good, so they will be getting torched by Georgia this week. Oklahoma versus Nebraska. Nebraska, of course, just fired Scott Frost. This will be the first week with their interim head coach. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they get to play. They get to play at Nebraska this year. Last year, as you remember, they went to Oklahoma and almost beat them. Almost. And with that sort of game impact, I'm going to have to pick Oklahoma for it. I just think that, it's a pretty emotional week for Nebraska. A lot of turmoil. I do think that it'll be a closer game than maybe some people are expecting, but don't expect Nebraska to win. Next up, one of the big marquee matchups, Auburn versus Penn State. Penn State travels down to Auburn. Brian Harsin really needs this win. So, in my opinion, I think it's going to be a crazy, crazy experience. All the Auburn fans are going to show up, and I think they will beat a ranked Penn State team. Number 22 in the nation, I believe. So that'll be a crazy win for Auburn. They will be heavily, if they do win this game, which again I think they will, their ranking will skyrocket. All right, let's see. Next up, Florida State versus Louisville. Florida State's going to win this game. Louisville's just not very good this year. And I have a lot more faith that Florida State and Mike Norvell know what they're doing as compared to Scott Satterfield and U of L. So I will be picking the Florida State Seminole to win that game. Next up, an interesting matchup, Syracuse versus Purdue. Purdue was picked by a lot of people, including myself, at the beginning of the year to win the Big Ten West. I don't think they're going to be winning it. It's going to come down to possibly Minnesota wins it. I believe they're the only undefeated team left. Iowa doesn't have the offense. Wisconsin just lost to Washington State at home, so they won't be winning it. But I think that they will go and Syracuse will defeat Purdue. That's a game that I believe is, let me check my notes. At Syracuse, yes. So I believe that Syracuse will beat them. Former Virginia offensive coordinator Robert Anae and our quarterbacks coach will be leading the Syracuse Orange to a victory over the Purdue Boilermakers. Man, I almost forgot their name. Next up, the game I'll be watching, Old Dominion at Virginia. I would like to pick Virginia in this game, but I just can't. They last week did not inspire any confidence in me, and I do think that Old Dominion will come in rowdy, excited to knock off another team in the Power 5 in the state. And sadly, I have to pick Old Dominion to beat Virginia this week. Next up, Notre Dame will host Cal. Notre Dame's quarterback is out 4 months, a.k.a. the rest of the year. They will not be winning this game. I believe that Cal, it won't be a great team, but at the same time, I think that Notre Dame's offense is just that bad that they'll be able to get it done. Next up, BYU at Oregon. This will be a really good game. I'm excited for this one. I believe it's a late kickoff. Where is it? BYU. Where are you? Where's Oregon? Here, there. Oh, no, it's at 3:30. Okay. All right, never mind. I thought it was a later kickoff. Well, I do think that BYU will beat Oregon. Oregon, I don't think is very good. Bo Nix is not the greatest quarterback. And yeah, it'll be a rough ride for Oregon, so I think they lose this game. Next up, Ole Miss goes on the road to face Georgia Tech. Ole Miss is winning this game. Georgia Tech is terrible. They should have fired Jeff Collins a long time ago. I don't know where on earth getting 3 wins, 3 straight years keeps your job other than Nebraska and Georgia Tech. So let me just say that Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss are going to come down and tear a new one for Georgia Tech. Next up, Minnesota will be destroying Colorado. Colorado's terrible. I don't know what their problem is, but there's a chance they may go 2-10 this year, maybe even 1-11. They're bad. Minnesota all day. Next up, College Game Day. App State versus Troy. It's at App State. I do think App State takes the win. Don't know much about Troy this year, but with the way that App State has showed they can do it on offense, they can do it on defense, I do think that they will be taking the win over Troy at home on College Game Day. Should be a good atmosphere. I'm excited for that. Next up, Houston versus Kansas. As much as I'd like to pick Kansas to win, Houston, I think, just has the personnel to beat Kansas. And it's just hard to trust a Kansas team to win over anybody. But don't count Kansas out of it like Texas did last year and like a lot of other teams do the past 2 years. Kansas has a shot. They definitely do. So I will be keeping a close eye on that game. Next up, Wake Forest versus Liberty. Wake Forest is winning this game. They have Sam Hartman back. Their offense is going to be clicking on all cylinders. I just don't see a scenario in which Liberty can keep up on offense with them. Next up, NC State versus Texas Tech. NC State's got to win this game. I'm picking them to, but if they lose this game, they're just terrible. You can't – a close win versus ECU, that's one thing. You can't have a bunch of close win versus a Group of 5 team and then a bunch of Power 5 losses out of conference if you're hoping to do anything. Get to 10 wins. I know they wanted to do that last year. Didn't get a chance with their bowl being canceled versus Texas A&M, I believe. But they need to get this win right here, and I believe that they will. Next up, Michigan State versus Washington. Interesting. Michigan State is ranked number 11 in the country, and they're the underdog to an unranked Washington team. I know it's on the road, but I do think that Michigan State gets it done. Washington, first year, or it's their coach's first year. I just don't think they'll be able to get it finished against a good Michigan State team. Not a great team, but a good Michigan State team. Finally, get down to the last two games. Utah plays San Diego State. Utah will be out for blood in this game. They need that win. I think they get it. Not really much to say right there. And then finally, USC versus Fresno State. This could be a sneaky game for USC. Fresno State always plays people really good. I think they beat them last year. And this will be the real first big test of Lincoln Riley's era there. Their defense has been playing really good, but the thing is that they've gotten pretty good with the turnovers. Kind of like Iowa's defense last year. They've gotten opportunistic turnovers, which obviously very good for your team, but that's not a sustainable practice. So I do think that USC wins the game. Their offense is going to be really good, but don't be surprised if Fresno State's hanging around late into the third, early into the fourth. I mean, heck, this could be a game that, comes down to whoever has the ball last, which will probably be USC. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Hope you have a good college football week. I think that I'll probably be doing some game reactions for whatever happens this week. If there's any big upsets during the day, I'll probably post those. But, if nothing really happens, you should expect to see at least a Virginia video out on Saturday. So, yeah. All right. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode.